Houston. There are two rules for building a great city: have a plan and care about people. Houston decided to skip both. This is the undisputed champion of the concrete sprawl, a city built on the glorious, chaotic idea that zoning laws are for communists and sidewalks are a personal choice. Welcome to the urban planning equivalent of a monster truck rally. They call it the Bayou City, which is a poetic way of ignoring the fact that they paved over most of the bayous to build 12-lane highways and endless strip malls. Houston's downtown is a monument to the automobile. You don't visit it, you drive through it, or more accurately, you get stuck in it. The skyline is impressive, sure, but at ground level, it's a collection of glass towers connected by a network of air-conditioned tunnels. Why? Because the street is a terrifying hellscape of roaring traffic and parking garages that look like medieval fortresses. They didn't solve the problem of their hostile streets. They just built an entirely separate city indoors to escape it. This isn't just ugly, it's isolating. In a city of millions, the downtown core feels eerily empty of actual human beings walking around. Everyone is either sealed in their car or scurrying through the climate-controlled hamster maze. The city famously has no formal zoning code, which sounds like freedom until you realize it means a skyscraper can go up next to a single-family home, and a gas station can be built next to a playground. It's a mess that generates some of the worst traffic in the nation. The average Houston commuter wastes nearly 50 hours a year just sitting in traffic. That's more than a full work week spent staring at the bumper in front of you, contemplating the series of bad decisions that led you here. What could you do with an extra week a year? The irony is that Houston is a powerhouse, a global hub for energy and medicine full of brilliant people. Yet, they collectively built a downtown that functions like a computer motherboard. Incredibly complex, technically functional, but absolutely not designed for human hands. It's a masterclass in unintended consequences. An empty downtown is one thing. A downtown that actively tries to kill you is something else entirely. Jacksonville. Jacksonville, Florida has a fantastic sales pitch. It's the largest city by land area in the contiguous United States. The problem is, what they forgot to put in all that space: a downtown. It's an ocean of land with a puddle of a city in the middle. Driving into downtown Jacksonville is a bizarre experience. You see the skyline from miles away, a small cluster of buildings promising a bustling urban core. Then you get there, and you find nothing. The streets are wide, the sidewalks are clean, and they are both completely, profoundly empty. It feels less like a city and more like a beautifully maintained movie set where the cast and crew never showed up. They have a riverfront, a classic asset for any great city. Jacksonville's is lined with surface parking lots and aging, windswept buildings. They have a light rail system called the Skyway, an adorable little monorail that glides silently over the vacant streets, connecting empty office buildings to other empty office buildings. It's the loneliest train in the world. So where is everybody? They're in the suburbs, spread out across the 875 square miles of urban sprawl that suffocates the city's heart. Decades of prioritizing suburban development and letting the core rot has left downtown Jacksonville a hollow shell. It's a city of commuters, not residents. People drive in for their 9 to 5 and flee back to the suburbs the second the clock strikes 5, leaving the downtown to the pigeons and the ghosts of failed revitalization projects. The city has a population of nearly 1 million people, yet its downtown feels like it has a population of 12. Jacksonville is what happens when a city grows wide instead of growing up. It's a cautionary tale about size meaning nothing without a soul. It's not aggressive or chaotic, it's just sad. A tragic, empty monument to forgotten potential. Sadores, Jacksonville's downtown is a ghost town. Don't be a ghost viewer. Hit subscribe. And we're building to the one city that perfected every mistake you can imagine, so stick around. Phoenix. Most cities work with their natural environment. Phoenix decided to declare war on it. This is what happens when you build a metropolis of 6 million people in the middle of the Sonoran Desert, and then, for good measure, decide to turn up the heat yourself with acres of black asphalt and glass. The result is a downtown that feels less like a place to live and more like the inside of a convection oven. The term for this is the urban heat island effect, and Phoenix is its global poster child. The endless pavement and concrete absorb and radiate solar energy so efficiently that downtown can be 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit hotter than the surrounding desert. Let that sink in. The natural desert is the cooler, more pleasant place to be. Summer temperatures regularly hit 115 degrees. That's 46 degrees for those of you in the civilized world. And the pavement can reach a blistering 180 degrees, hot enough to give you third-degree burns if you fall. This extreme heat dictates everything. The streets are wide, sun-bleached, and empty. Anyone with any sense is indoors. The city is built for cars, not people, because walking for more than 10 minutes in the summer isn't just unpleasant, it's a legitimate health risk. They've planted trees and painted some streets a lighter color, which is like trying to put out a forest fire with a squirt gun. The core problem is the design itself, a sprawling, low-density grid that maximizes sun exposure and heat absorption. Phoenix represents a profound, almost philosophical failure, building a city in defiance of its own geography. They built a place that requires immense amounts of energy and water just to remain habitable, in a location that has precious little of either. It's a stunning testament to human hubris. Phoenix designed a downtown for cars and air conditioners, not people. And ever heard of a city so polite it asks you to abandon its streets? Minneapolis. At first glance, Minneapolis seems like a brilliant exception. It's a city that looked at its biggest problem, brutally cold winters, and engineered a clever solution, the Skyway system. This is a network of more than 9 miles of enclosed, climate-controlled glass bridges connecting 80 city blocks. You can live, work, shop, and eat without ever once stepping outside. It is an engineering marvel. It is also a complete and utter disaster for the city. The Skyway was designed to save downtown. Instead, it killed it. By lifting all human activity one story into the air, it created a two-tiered city. Upstairs is a sterile, carpeted, aggressively beige world of office workers and food courts. It's warm, it's convenient, and it has all the soul of a suburban mall. Downstairs, at street level, it's a ghost town. The sidewalks are empty, the storefronts are shuttered, and the silence is deafening, even on a bright summer day. The very system designed to protect people from the elements has left the streets to the mercy of the elements. This creates a bizarre social stratification. The Skyway is the domain of the 9-to-5 professional. The street is left for everyone else. It's a city literally divided into the upstairs people and the downstairs people. This creates more than just an aesthetic problem, it's an economic disaster. Why would anyone open a street-level shop or cafe when all their potential customers are floating overhead in glass tubes? The result is a downtown that feels vibrant and alive only if you never set foot on its actual streets. For a city celebrated for its parks and public spaces, its core is a monument to avoiding public space at all costs. The ultimate irony is that the Skyway worked too well. It solved the problem of winter so effectively that it erased the need for a lively, resilient, all-season street culture. They built a city indoors, and in doing so, created a ghost town outdoors. It's a clever solution that created an even bigger problem, a perfect metaphor for human ingenuity. They escaped the outdoors, but our next city built a cage around itself. Kansas City. Some cities have a highway running through them. Kansas City's downtown has a highway wrapped around it like a noose. It's called the Downtown Loop, and it is one of the most brutally simple and devastatingly effective acts of urban self-sabotage in America. The concept was a classic 1950s fever dream. Encircle the central business district with a massive multi-lane freeway to provide easy access for suburban commuters. Easy in, easy out. Perfect. Except they forgot the in part. The loop functions less like a welcome mat and more like a fortress wall. It's a roaring, impassable moat of concrete and steel, physically and psychologically severing the downtown core from every single one of its surrounding historic neighborhoods. You don't stroll into downtown Kansas City. You brave a series of treacherous on-ramps and desolate underpasses. Instead of serving the city, the highway completely dominates it. The visual is almost too perfect. From above, you can see the dense grid of downtown trapped inside this perfect circle of traffic. It's an island. Inside the loop, you have the city's tallest buildings, its arts district, its convention center. Outside, you have its lifeblood, the diverse, historic, and walkable neighborhoods that should be seamlessly connected to the core. Instead, they are cut off by a permanent river of noise, pollution, and danger. For pedestrians, it's a nightmare. For the city's urban fabric, it's a mortal wound. This single piece of infrastructure has done more damage than decades of economic downturns. It's a constant, visible reminder of a time when we believed the best thing you could do for a city was to make it easier to leave. Kansas City has a surprisingly vibrant and interesting downtown fighting to get out, but it's trapped. The downtown loop is a perfect self-inflicted wound, a concrete snake that is slowly strangling the very thing it was meant to save. If one highway can choke a city, what happens with 16? Atlanta. The answer, as always, is Atlanta. Every city has a traffic problem. Atlanta has the connector. You can't even call it a highway. It's more like a permanent God-level traffic jam masquerading as one. Officially named the I-75-I-85 Downtown Connector, this behemoth is a roaring 16-lane chasm of asphalt that rips the city of Atlanta in half. It is, without exaggeration, one of the 10 busiest stretches of interstate in the entire country, and a daily monument to the spectacular failure of car-centric urbanism. The logic that created this monster is the kind of logic that gets you into a land war in Asia. The original problem was traffic, so the solution, obviously, was to build more lanes. But adding lanes doesn't fix traffic, it just invites more cars. This is called induced demand, and the Atlanta Connector is its Sistine Chapel. The road is in a perpetual state of being either completely gridlocked or terrifyingly fast. There is no in-between. It is a physical and psychological barrier that has defined the city for half a century. Living with the connector means your life is dictated by its whims. It slices through neighborhoods, creating canyons of noise and pollution. It isolates communities, making a 1-mile trip a 30-minute ordeal. It has made driving in Atlanta a national punchline, an experience so consistently awful that it has shaped the city's culture. You don't ask an Atlantan how they are. You ask them how their commute was. The daily human cost is staggering. Millions of hours wasted, immense amounts of pollution coughed into the air, and a city fabric that has been shredded. The very piece of infrastructure designed to connect the city has become the primary source of its disconnection. The great irony of Atlanta is that it's a city of vibrant neighborhoods, rich history, and immense culture. But all of it exists in the shadow of this single, catastrophic planning decision. Atlanta's problem is the roaring river of cars flowing through it, but our climax city went even further. They didn't just invite the cars in, they gave them the entire house. If every city on this list is a sin, Dallas is the cathedral where they all come to pray. Dallas. Welcome to Dallas, the city that looked at the human experience and decided it would be vastly improved with more surface parking. This is not just a downtown with a highway problem or a few empty lots. This is the logical, soul-crushing endpoint of every bad urban planning idea of the 20th century, all fused together into a single, shimmering monument to the automobile. Let's be clear. Dallas isn't your normal city that has parking lots. Dallas is a parking lot that just happens to have a skyline. The numbers are genuinely unbelievable. In the downtown core, nearly 40% of the land is dedicated to parking. That's not a typo. 40% of the most valuable real estate in the fourth largest metro area in the country is a sea of empty, sun-bleached asphalt. From the air, it looks like a city that's been bombed out, with a few lonely skyscrapers surviving in the rubble. On the ground, it's even worse. The pedestrian experience is a joke. You walk past gleaming corporate towers, then a vast, windswept parking lot, then another tower, then another parking lot. It's a landscape of gaping holes, a cityscape missing most of its teeth. Like Kansas City, it's strangled by highways. Like Phoenix, it's a brutal heat island. Like Houston, its street life is an afterthought. Dallas took the worst traits of all its peers and perfected them. They built a world-class arts district, then surrounded it with so much hostile infrastructure that getting to it on foot feels like a special forces operation. They built a beautiful park, Clyde Warren Park, literally on top of a freeway, which is less a celebration of green space and more a desperate multi-million-dollar apology for the freeway itself. It's a beautiful band-aid on a self-inflicted wound. Dallas is the ultimate paradox, a city of immense wealth and ambition that has produced a downtown that is functionally, spiritually, and aesthetically bankrupt. It is the Mona Lisa of terrible urban planning, a place so profoundly dedicated to the car that it forgot to be a city for people. But there's one final terrifying twist. From the loudest failure on our list, we come to the quietest and perhaps the most terrifying. Indianapolis. There is no roaring freeway, no oppressive heat, no visible decay. Instead, there is something far more chilling, a perfectly clean, perfectly safe, perfectly organized downtown that is completely, utterly devoid of a human soul. It is the uncanny valley of urbanism. It looks like a city, it functions like a city, but it feels like a spreadsheet. Indianapolis made a very specific bet. It decided to build its downtown for visitors, completely ignoring its own citizens. It is a city engineered from the ground up to host conventions, sporting events, and trade shows. The result is a core that feels less like a neighborhood and more like an airport terminal. You have the convention center, the football stadium, the basketball arena, and a collection of mid-range chain hotels and restaurants, all within a sterile, walkable grid. It's efficient, it's logical, and it is profoundly boring. The problem is that a city built for transients has no room for character. There is no grit, no spontaneity, no weirdness. The streets are clean because no one uses them after 6 p.m. unless they're wearing a lanyard and walking from their hotel to a steakhouse. The local businesses that give a city its flavor have been squeezed out in favor of national brands that appeal to a conventioneer from Omaha. It is a downtown of profound loneliness, a place where you feel like a temporary guest even if you've lived there your whole life. One analyst famously called it a suburban office park with a basketball court in the middle. Indianapolis is the final, ironic punchline to our journey. It proves that you don't need chaos or decay to fail. You can fail through sheer, relentless competence. You can build a downtown that checks every box, safe, clean, accessible, and still end up with a place that has no reason to exist for the people who actually call it home. It's a city built for a 3-day convention, not a life. A place with no chaos, and therefore no soul. Every city tells the same story: brilliance, failure, and everything in between. And just beyond the skyline, another one's already beginning.